Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And just for a few minutes, I want to talk a little bit about Drew Brees. Now, I'm pretty sure everybody has heard that Drew Brees has decided to return for the 2020 NFL season. He posted on Instagram on top of a mountain. I mean, beautiful scenery. And he posted that he was going to come back for the 2020 season. He said, run it back. Let's do it again. Who that nation? And a lot of people are excited about it. You know, I think I did a poll on the State of the Saints podcast. And if my memory serves me correctly, I say about 93% of the Who That Nation are excited that Drew Brees has decided to return. Only 7% are not excited about him returning. But, you know, a lot of mixed reviews about this. People have been asking me, how do I feel about the Drew Brees, comment about coming back? Am I happy about it? Am I upset about it? Like, how do I feel about it? I have mixed emotions about this. Number one, I'm not angry at all. I mean, why would I be angry that Drew Brees decides to come back? I mean, if you're comparing the quarterbacks and who you feel puts the Saints in the best position to win next season, I mean, you got to pick Drew Brees. I mean, that's a no-brainer. If it came down to Taysom Hill, Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Brees, who I feel like can lead the team to the Super Bowl, I'm going with Drew Brees all day. I think the problem is, when it comes to Drew Brees, I have to ask the question, why? Like, why did he decide to come back? Is it about a Super Bowl? Is it about unfinished business? And I'm one of those people that feel like Drew Brees don't have anything else left to prove. I think he's done everything that you can possibly do. I mean, he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer when he retires. I mean, when those 5 years are up after retirement, I mean, he's going into the Hall of Fame. He has all the statistical records. And to be honest with you, I think that him coming back has a little bit to do with him wanting to come back, and everything to do with the fact that he wants his kids to have memories of him playing the game of football. And I think that's very, very important to Drew Brees. But, I do have to ask the question why. I mean, like I said, I gave you, my speculation, but I don't know how true that is. But he does put the Saints in the best position to win. It's unfortunate that some things are going to have to change. One thing in particular is Teddy Bridgewater. I think it's pretty much the writing on the wall. He's going to end up going to another team. He did what he had to do, man. Rather you like Teddy Bridgewater or not, rather you think that he's a starting quarterback in the NFL or not. The Saints, at a time when Drew Brees was down and they needed a backup quarterback to step up and, steer the ship when the captain went down, Teddy Bridgewater came in. And, I'm seeing people, comment talking about it was the defense and, the defense helped out in a tremendous way and it wasn't Teddy Bridgewater. But, I mean, it's a team sport, okay? I mean, you got 53 men, trying to work towards the common goal, and that is the Super Bowl, you know what I'm saying, the ultimate prize. So, I mean, he has a lot to do with it, man. I mean, you can't just put any quarterback in there and just expect for the Saints to be successful. I mean, you can't just say that, it was the defense or anything like that, because at the end of the day, the Saints still had to score points. The Saints still had to get driven down the field. And I think some of those plays that Teddy Bridgewater made to sustain those drives, I think you have to get a guy credit where credit is due, whether you like him or not. I hope that he goes out here and he gets all his money. He bet on himself and he won. I still feel like this wasn't what the Saints had planned. I really feel like they thought that Teddy Bridgewater was the successor. I don't think they expected for him to play, and I think because they didn't expect him to play, they felt like they probably could, renegotiate his contract and be able to afford him going into this season. But because he played in those games and he won, and a lot of other franchises saw him, I think that that opened a lot of eyes, and that opened him up to making a substantial amount of money. But I wish him all the best. Taysom Hill, I think he's going to be the backup quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. I think that he learning under Drew Brees for another year is only going to help him elevate his game. But I don't think that the Saints should just go with those two and not consider drafting a quarterback in this year's NFL draft. I'm looking at Jordan Love right now. You can't just say when Drew Brees retires, when he decides to wrap it up, let's just go ahead and give it to Taysom Hill. If Taysom Hill goes into training camp when Drew Brees retires and he wins the starting job, then by all means, give him the job. I mean, I have no problem with that, but don't just give it to him just because, he's been waiting in the wings and say, oh, man, it's your turn now, Taysom. You let him go out here and compete against a possible young quarterback that you drafted in this year's draft and let the best man win. And if Taysom Hill beats out that rookie quarterback, let that rookie quarterback back up Taysom Hill and let's just go from there. But you do not just give him the keys to the car and just say, man, it's your car now when Drew Brees retires. But once again, I am happy for Drew Brees. I'm happy that he decided to come back. I think we as the Who Dat Nation, I know we kind of frustrated some of us, but I must say that I agree that Drew Brees needs to retire on his own terms. Similar to the late, great Kobe Bryant, people were talking about him possibly getting traded or going to another team towards the tail end of his NBA career. But he deserved to go out as a Laker. All of the skins that he had on the wall, the multiple All-Star appearances, the championship that he brought to Los Angeles. He deserves to, to leave on his own terms. And despite the fact that we in the Who Dat Nation, some of us are, tired of the same old song and dance, and some of us have a bad taste in our mouth because of the playoffs. That does not mean that Drew Brees isn't a quality quarterback. He's still playing on the elite level. He's still putting up great numbers. You can call it nickel and diming it down the field, but at the end of the day, when you have a quarterback that's like an offensive coordinator on the field that can put guys in positions, that can throw the ball where it needs to be put, completely accurate. Over 74% of his passes have been completed. He keeps completing passes and shattering his own records. I mean, numbers don't lie, man. Stats don't lie. So you can say that they need to go in another direction, but I mean, his numbers are proving that he's getting better, like a fine wine. Do I think that he can lead the Saints to the Super Bowl? Absolutely, man. But I don't think it's just going to be him doing it. The Saints are going to have to change some things around. I think that they become too Drew Brees dependent. And honestly, they need to prepare themselves for life after Drew Brees, starting with this season. And it starts with running the football. You got to be able to run the football in order for you to set up the play action and some of these plays down the field. I feel like the Saints just become too Drew Brees dependent. They want him to throw the ball 35, 40 times a game. And that's not going to win you anything. It's not going to win you those games that matter. It's probably going to get you double-digit wins. It's probably even going to get you the division title. But when it's time to play, when it's time to go out there and ball and the championship is on the line and you're trying to make a deep run in the playoffs, you're going to have to run the football, and you can't just count on Drew Brees to get you out of situations. I mean, we've seen the fact that Drew Brees struggled a little bit in these playoff games over the past few seasons, and I feel like it had a lot to do with Sean Payton, because Sean Payton kind of hitching his wagon to Drew Brees. But you have to have confidence in some of these other players, man. I mean, if you don't have confidence in some of these young players, then why are they even on your team? Open up the playbook, design plays for some of these players like Traquan Smith. Design some of these plays to, maybe add or implement a Dwayne Washington or Alvin Kamara, Latavius Murray. Let's get a balanced attack in there so it just won't be, the defense, stacking a box and trying to, pin their ears back and trying to get to Drew Brees because they know he's going to stand strong in the pocket. Let's kind of switch this thing up in order to help out Drew Brees. And I feel like, if it comes down to that, you can have a team where, if Drew Brees needs to make a throw down the field to extend a drive, he can. But it all depends on you having a balanced attack, because with a balanced attack, you have to have the defense thinking, so right now I don't think the Saints have the defenses thinking. I think they just think that Drew Brees is going to throw the ball down the field. But once again, I'm excited about this 2020 season. I'm optimistic. I think that they can run it back. I think they can win the division. But I'm looking forward to the playoffs if they get in there, and hopefully they can make a deep run. But I would like to hear from you. What do you think about Drew Brees returning? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's a bad idea? Or do you feel like it's a Super Bowl or bust season? Me personally, I think it is. Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, facebook.com, search State of the Saints podcast, and also check out the State of the Game podcast. We talk about all different topics in sports, not just the Saints. We talk about NBA, NFL. I mean, we talk about everything. So check out the State of the Game podcast. I'm really asking you all to, help grow that channel and make it a success, just like you have with the State of the Saints. Till next time, I'm TJ Jones, and all I got to say is, who dat?